Alright, hello everyone. We're back with another one of the Battle Redux videos from Season 5 of our Draft League here. Continuing with a little bit of pattern that I've done before, we're taking one person from the previous video and following them through to another battle. So here we've got Terran23 again, who, as we mentioned last time, had a Sands team that he was working with. Opposing them now, we have GMS 2455. They've got an interesting team. So if you remember most of Terran's team, in addition to the 6 that you're seeing here, they have Claydol, Excadrill, which are their other two? Oh, Magneton, and I'm forgetting one. Let me check the list here. Claydol, Magneton. Oh, Hippowdon, that's right. Of course, you had to have the Sand Setter there. So, interestingly, they did not bring Hippowdon, their Sand Setter, here. We'll get into why in a little bit, just looking at the opposing team. Opposing team here, GMF 2455, in addition to the 6 that you're seeing here, they have also drafted Weavile, Scizor, Jolteon, and Comfey. You got 2 Eeveeloutions on that team and a bunch of potentially surprising picks. You get Sandslash, Comfey, you've got Sirfetch'd here. Rillaboom and Kommo-o, though, are definitely A+ Pokemon. They've opted to not bring Weavile or Scizor, which are also probably 2 of their top-notch ones. And let's see, it is worth pointing out, I think I've mentioned this in previous videos, our league does have a point system where last season and this season, if you actually bring too many of our top tier Pokemon, you get a points penalty to it. So usually you won't see people using more than 1 or 2 of our top tier Pokemon in a single battle. That's the case with both opponents on this particular matchup right now. We've got Mandibuzz and Amoonguss on Terran 23's side, and then Rillaboom and Kommo-o on GMF 2455's side. Alright, so let's get into a little bit of the team building thoughts. So looking at GMF's team, what would Terran have wanted to do? So my thoughts... I do have my own little biases built in everywhere. Considering that Jolteon is on the team, Jolteon's a Pokemon that always gets my attention just because it's one of my favorites. It also does just hit hard, especially. And because of that, I'm a little surprised to not see any ground types on Terran 23's team right now. Because not only would it be able to tank some of Jolteon's attacks, but it will threaten Chandelure. It can, depending on which ground type Terran decided to bring, it could have done some other stuff. Like Claydol would have threatened Kommo-o, Excadrill could have threatened Comfey, and of course Hippowdon as your Sand Setter. Toxic Battle can get through some of the other Pokemon on GMF's side. Now, I'm guessing Terran decided to not bring any of their ground types because of Vaporeon and Rillaboom, which is a reasonable enough choice to make, especially trying to just judge what other threats there are. In fact, I think this is probably why Terran brought Arcanine this time. Arcanine not only gives you super effective against Rillaboom, Scizor, and Weavile, but it'll resist Comfey's attacks, and its Intimidate can help against Kommo-o and Sirfetch'd and Sandslash. That is if Terran's using Intimidate on this Arcanine. Let's see, Mandibuzz is always a good choice. Flying will help against 3 of the Pokemon that GMF decided to bring right here, and the Dark-type attacks will help against Chandelure. Amoonguss, again, also just a great regenerator mon. That thing is threatening, again, actually half of the team that's showing on GMF's side with its poison and grass-type attacks. Lycanroc, threatening Chandelure, and not much else, but it depends on what coverage it has. Because again, if it has Psychic Fangs, that will help against Sirfetch'd and Kommo-o. I am a little surprised to see Heliolisk, also good depending on how Terran uses it. I'm a little surprised to see Hitmonchan, because fighting doesn't help against GMF's team much. It does threaten Weavile, but there's more weaknesses to worry about than strengths when you're bringing a fighting type against GMF's team. Now, as we saw in the previous battle, Hitmonchan does learn the elemental punches, and that can pack a little bit of a surprise. Not the starting choice I would have made, though. On GMF's side, again, if we know that Terran has a sand team, it absolutely makes sense to have Vaporeon and Rillaboom on that starting lineup. And then we've got the Sand Slash, which helps to provide a little bit of extra threat to Excadrill, as well as also threatening Arcanine, Heliolisk, and Magneton. So if that Sand Slash has Earthquake, it'll be a great addition. Sand Slash normally is actually used more of a support Pokemon than offensive, but you can run a Swords Dance set with it. So it'll be interesting to see what GMF actually brought here. Sirfetch'd, I love using Sirfetch'd in metagames where you can actually Dynamax, because getting the max Airstream off of Brave Bird is great. Otherwise, it's not as, again, there's... Actually, I should take that back. I was about to say it doesn't help as much, but actually Fighting type does threaten a good chunk of Terran's Pokemon, with Excadrill, Lycanroc, Magneton, and Heliolisk all not liking fighting attacks. So that's a good choice. It's just that I certainly enjoy Sirfetch'd more when it can do the max Airstream. I think, can Sirfetch'd, I know, does it get... It does not get Defiant, unfortunately. Because that would have been something to bring in against an Arcanine as well. It does not appear to get that, so just a lost opportunity there. And then Chandelure is just a great kind of... Chandelure is an unpredictable Pokemon. You can run a substitute Calm Mind set on it. You can run a Choice Spec set or a Choice Scarf set. It just likes to, hit hard, especially. You just have to make sure it has the longevity to survive. So I'm kind of thinking, just looking at GMF's team, I'm betting Chandelure has heavy-duty boots. It might have leftovers if it's a Calm Mind substitute set, though. And if I had to just kind of pick looking at this... you know what? I can't really pick here about which team I think is probably more likely to win. I think that GMF has a little bit more super effective offense with the 6 that each player has chosen. But if Lycanroc or Hitmonchan get some setup in, those can also do some damage on GMF's team. And then, of course, Terran also has Mandibuzz, probably has Roost. Aluminix always has Regenerator. And who knows, Arcanine might even have Morning Sun. Arcanine is pretty versatile as well. It can do the offensive sets, it can do the support sets, it can do whatever. So I think GMF has the advantage here, but Terran certainly has good win cons going in. So let's go and see how this battle plays out to start with. Now again, I'm thinking leads... I'm honestly not sure what Terran would lead with, but I would bet GMF leads with Sand Slash for a Stealth Rock. Let's see what happens. Mandibuzz, Como-O. Oh, okay. Como-O has the Stealth Rock, not Sand Slash. And Knockoff is good. I'm surprised the Whirlwind came off right off the bat. Como-O. Okay, so we have a very support Como-O here, which is... not something you always see, but with some of the pseudo-legendaries, it works out. Like, Garchomp also can do a very good, Stealth Rocks, Toxic support set. And there's the Rapid Spin to clear Rocks, which is good. Wow, that Body Press still did a ton of damage. Yeah, I'm surprised the Sunny Day came in. Because that... Oh! Wow! Play Rough didn't even kill. Wow, what in the world is going on here? I'm surprised at those few turns. Terran does not like that with the FK. Good swap, though, to get Mandibuzz in on Rillaboom. I'm surprised Mandibuzz didn't roost there, though. But let's see, because what is this Sandslash going to do? Terran did not play for that Como-O. That is a impressive Como-O, but considering it's a support one, I guess it makes a bit more sense, because you can probably... Ooh, Solar Beam on Heliolisk. That's impressive. As I was saying, Como-O, you can probably put that extra whatever into defense, which helped it do damage with the body press and tank the player off. But Terran is certainly far from out here. Ooh, Poison the Chandelure. Now, it doesn't want to take a Fire Blast, and it's a sub-Chandelure. Okay. Papa Berry. Gotcha. Flamethrower. Please, and the Roost gets rid of the sub. Okay. First impression doesn't get the kill. And there's the Roost. Oh, that was clutch. Or not clutch, that was just impressive. Close combats, and the Sirfetch'd was faster than Mandibuzz. That kind of surprised me. 248 versus 2... Yeah, okay. They're pretty close, but Sirfetch'd has a slight advantage. Switching Rillaboom into Amoonguss. That's weird. And that probably just cost GMF. Yep, that cost GMF the Rillaboom. And sacking the Hitmonchan to not get Amoonguss Flamethrowered. Smart point there. Dark Pulse. Okay. Okay, that's a nice Life Orb Heliolisk set right there. And a crit hit on first impression. There's Brave Bird. Okay, Amoonguss is down. How's this gonna go? Dark Pulse. Life Orb Heliolisk doing the work. Alright, I think Terran has now won this one. Oh, first impression, right. Don't want to Heliolisk get that. Because we already knew Sirfetch'd was faster than Mandibuzz. So if Heliolisk went down, Sirfetch'd would have taken the last bit of Mandibuzz's health out. So that was a good swap there, anticipating the first impression. Very close match, very well played. Let's go back to the beginning now and pull it apart. Now, as I said earlier, I thought GMF would leave with Sand Slash, because that's what I normally think of as a Stealth Rock setter. But brought the surprise in with the more support Como-O. And just looking at some of the other things that happened, I bet that Como-O was fully defensively invested. Now, I'm a little surprised Mandibuzz used Whirlwind right off the bat. Actually, what? No, I'm not. I bet Terran thought it might have been an offensive Como-O and was going to use Clangorous Soul, so Whirlwind would have wiped out those stat boosts. Considering that GMF led with Como-O, that might have been a hint that it was a support set and not an offensive set. Because looking at Terran's team, if it was an offensive Como-O, there are things that can tank what Como-O can throw out. So it wouldn't make sense to put an offensive Como-O up front and try to, punch holes in Terran's team right off the bat. So I can understand where the Whirlwind was, but considering the game GMF was playing, I think Terran could have maybe read that just slightly better and maybe done the knockoff right there. Or something else, but you don't want Mandibuzz to get toxic, so maybe that was good anyway. Again, not what I would have done, but probably worked out relatively well. So here comes the first impression. Got rid of the leak, which is important. That is a nice thing about our current draft format, where we have the limitation of one item per team, or one. How do I say it? Only one Pokemon can hold a given item, so you can't duplicate things on teams. So you can't have two Pokemon with Life Orb, with two Pokemon with Choice Band, or whatever. So Pokemon that have unique items, like Sirfetch'd Leak, those are honestly really great to have on the team. And unfortunately, Sirfetch'd has now lost its Leak. Actually, let's see. I'm not sure, because we've seen first impression come in. I thought it did similar numbers to Mandibuzz later in the game. So now I'm actually curious. Does the Leak actually help Sirfetch'd as well? I know it helps Farfetch'd. But considering the damage we saw from first impression in this game, I'm actually now curious if that's the case. Let me look over here. Oh, come on. Leak. Okay, it does. Okay. Leak doesn't raise the strength of moves. It raises the critical hit ratio. Alright. I just learned something there. Interesting. All right, let's get back to the battle. So now Sirfetch'd is not getting its critical hits. Knockoff comes in. I might have used Brave Bird just to try to get the damage in. Because critical hits are rare unless that Sirfetch'd has a focus energy. But we'll see. And another swap, which is interesting because after First Impression was used, I wouldn't have thought Sirfetch'd was posing much of a threat. So Mandibuzz could have started using Brave Bird and Roost, because we did see it use Roost later in the match. Yeah, I would have worked offensively with Terran. Now, if he was predicting a swap based on that, what would GMF have sent in relation to anticipating Brave Bird? Probably would have sent in Sand Slash. And if Terran was anticipating that, I would have maybe swapped into a Moongus instead of Hitmonchan. So I'm not sure what Terran was thinking here. But we do end up getting the Rapid Spin off. Oh, no, that's a little bit later. And it is interesting because when he does do the Rapid Spin, oh yeah, there's the massive damage body press. The Rapid Spin, we already saw Como use Stealth Rock, so it's not necessarily the smartest to clear the rocks when the Rock Setter is still there. Here's what we mentioned earlier. He tries to go with a Sunny Day when we already saw Body Press do a great chunk of damage. Now, this ended up working out later on because we got to see Heliolisk has solar power, so its attack power is increased in the sun. So it does end up working out. And now Lycanroc comes in, which, again, probably Terran's thinking like I would have. Play Rough can probably kill Como-O. But I'm certain now, just looking at this battle, that Como-O is defensively invested, support Pokemon. I'm wondering what his third move is. I forget if we saw it or not later in the battle. But it just tanked that Play Rough. It's weird for me to see a 4-time super effective attack actually not make a kill, especially with an offensive powerhouse like Lycanroc. Even though it's not getting the stab, I would have thought that would have killed. And yeah, there's the yikes from Terran. Parabolic Charge does get the kill on Como-O, and now the Rock Setter is gone, unless Sand Slash is also carrying rocks. Yeah, so that's a pretty good swap. Heliolisk is relatively frail, so you don't want to get a terrain-boosted Grassy Glide to the face, and Grassy Glide does have priority. That's an interesting thing that GMF has done in this patch. They've had Grassy Glide in First Impression, some really strong priority moves to threaten even some of Terran's faster Pokemon. So good thoughts on GMF's side there, but Mandibuzz was a good switch for Grassy Glide. Now again, knock off instead of Brave Bird. I'm a little surprised at that. I guess in this case, I didn't mention earlier that if you were anticipating a Brave Bird, if you thought GMF was anticipating Brave Bird, and then you thought GMF would send out Sand Slash, knockoff is better than Brave Bird in that sense. So I don't know if Terran was thinking ahead there, or just trying to do the item removal that a lot of them are. And so here's the other surprise, sending an electric type into a ground type. Now, Sand Slash does not have the best special defense. And Solar Beam, and that's another thing for the Sun, that's right. Solar Beam is there as an option. So in addition to the solar power, pumping up attacks. And there's our swap again, this time into a Moongus. Probably because Mandibuzz is less than half health, and the Moongus also does a great job of tanking Rillaboom. U-turn gets in some good damage, and now we've got Chandelure. Yeah, I'm not sure if there was any particularly good swap for GMF there. You certainly did not want Rillaboom to get the Sludge Bomb. Not sure if there was anything better, and then unfortunately GMF got unlucky to be poisoned. Terran gets the swap as Substitute comes in. Now I forget, did we get to see Chandelure do... Okay, so we see it do... yes, Flamethrower does a good chunk. Whirlwind comes out. And again, we don't want First Impression to hit man... Oh, there was Oh, it tanked that one. That's right. That was probably the second turning point in this battle. The first turning point was a surprise of the Kuma-O. Second turning point was Mandibuzz surviving that first impression. Because now Sirfetch'd doesn't have the priority, but it does have. We can now already see it's faster, which somewhat surprising, but not as much. So Mandibuzz has a lower. Actually, it is surprising. That's right, because it's not 248; it's 284. So yeah, Sirfetch'd, not expecting that to be faster than the Mandibuzz. I'm betting this Mandibuzz again might be health and defense invested, as opposed to having the speed in there. But it worked. Now, unfortunately for Terran, GMF predicted probably was actually predicting Parabolic Charge, because Helios wants to heal, but Volt Switch instead, another electric attack. This is one of the few times I would say having two of the same stab on a Pokemon works out relatively well, because Volt Switch and Parabolic Charge do very different things. In fact, you'll see that a lot on electric types. They'll run Volt Switch and Thunderbolt. Volt Switch for the swap for the momentum, and Thunderbolt for slightly higher damage output. Now, Helios instead here is running Parabolic Charge for the health recovery, which is great because between Solar Power and Life Orb, it's losing health a lot. Good swap here. Earthquake still does a good chunk of damage. I bet he was expecting Giga Drain, and Terran got the great prediction there. Because Sludge Bomb you almost would never use on a ground type. Especially a ground type with that much health, and you already saw how much damage Earthquake does. So that was a good prediction on Terran's part. Now here again, we don't want Amoonguss to die to Flamethrower, so it's Hitmonchan gets the sack. And here we get to see Helios' fourth and final move, Dark Pulse. This is a great build on Terran's part. I was questioning it earlier, but this is a great build. It works for GMF's team pretty well. Unfortunately, with the Sunsetter gone, that Solar Beam doesn't help nearly as much. But we do get to see Dark Pulse doing work later as well. Gets the swap, and I think this time Terran predicts the swap, and manages to get rid of Sand Slash. And as we saw earlier, it does another swap so that Helios doesn't die to Sirfetch'd. We knew Mandibuzz was not going to outspeed Sirfetch'd, so doing that sacrifice, great choice. Parabolic Charge gets the kill. And actually that was, you better hope, and now I forget which one of Parabolic Charge or Volt Switch does more damage. I honestly would have done the more damaging move if Volt Switch was more powerful, because the health recharge here doesn't help if you don't make the kill, because we know that Sirfetch'd has close combat. I'm actually going to go over, let me check the electric type description on the Smogon here. Because I want to see, is Parabolic Charge stronger than Volt Switch? Parabolic Charge 65, Volt Switch 70. Okay, so that's, I think, not much of a difference. Again, I probably would have gone for Volt Switch just for the little extra insurance. But very close fought battle. You got a couple of surprises thrown in on both sides of the field. Yeah, that was fun to watch. All right, so now let's go to the second match here. GMF has brought the exact same team, and Terran's done some swaps. Interesting. Okay, so what have they swapped out? Arcanine is out in favor of Hippowdon, and what was the other one? Other one was Lycanroc. Lycanroc is out in favor of Excadrill. Let's see. So, okay, yeah, I think those can. Let's see. So, because Arcanine's roles previously were being Sunsetter and potentially threatening Rillaboom. Helios was doing good damage even outside of the sun, so I can see why Sunsetter wasn't as important. And we already had Mandibuzz and Amoonguss to take care of Rillaboom, so I can certainly see Arcanine getting swapped out in this point. And Lycanroc also. Lycanroc, it threatens Chandelure a bit, but we've got Mandibuzz and Heliolisk to deal with that. So I can certainly see Lycanroc getting swapped out. And Terran brings two of his three ground types in. Hippowdon and Excadrill doesn't bring Claydol and does not opt for Magneton. I keep saying Magneton. It's Magneton. I think that's all right because I'm trying to think. Claydol. Honestly, I would have kind of liked Claydol because the Psychic type would help threaten Sirfetch'd and particularly Como-O. If Como-O is physically defensive, you want that special attacking prowess to come in. So I would have swapped in Claydol instead. And so with Hippowdon versus Excadrill, the Steel typing on Excadrill doesn't threaten much on GMF's team, so I probably would have used taken Excadrill out and put Claydol in. Hippowdon is there to help set up Sand. And I think it just provides a nice Earthquake and some toxic stalling strategy if Terran wanted to do that. And again, our league doesn't necessarily like it, but no one's really been penalized for it. So I don't know how it's working there. But all right. So Terran won last time, and we'll see if GMF adapts well. I'm betting that this Excadrill doesn't do as much as Terran wants it to do. Again, I would have picked Claydol as a swap here. But let's see how it goes on first watch. All right, Hippowdon starting off and Vaporeon starting off. Flip turn, nice predict there. Hippowdon isn't that scared of a flip turn because of it's physically defensive more. And here we have the more not offensive Heliolisk. So we've got whatever in Glare, nice predict on the Earthquake. Getting rid of the Assault Vest, interesting. And Hitmonchan. Power Up Punch. Oh, this is interesting. It's basically a sweeping Hitmonchan, basically. Alrighty. That's fun. Wood Hammer. Oh, okay, well. Yeah. Hitmonchan can sometimes be frail if you don't invest it the right way, and of course Rillaboom has a great attack strength. Oh, and now Mandibuzz has been toxicked. So this Como-O... Yeah, Hippowdon not scared of a Body Press. Or an Earthquake, okay. This is interesting, and now we've got Rocks up on the other side. And more phasing. We saw Mandibuzz doing some phasing last time. Ooh, and there's the Energy Ball. Chandelure can pack that. You gotta be careful. Alright, and there's our physically defensive Como-O taking an Earthquake. Swap out to take the Overcoat. There we go. Interesting. But now we've got a Toxic Spread there. Earthquake keeps coming in. Giga Drain doesn't do much. But we've got some stalling going on. I would have maybe swapped to a Mandibuzz right there. And maybe on this last thing he does. Yes. Okay. And Mandibuzz needs to get a Roost off relatively soon. Because we know First Impression's not going to make that kill. Yep, there's the Roost. And now I would do a swap. Because we don't want Toxic to do much more. Close combat. Oh, well, maybe we've got Brave Bird for the kill. U-turn. All right, that works as well. Now we know this Heliolisk is more support-y. Parabolic Charge for the healing. Interesting. I guess it was substitute. Substitute Parabolic Charge makes sense. Dark Pulse doesn't make the kill, but Heliolisk tanks it relatively well. Now probably get a swap. And, well, there's no real safe swap there. Yeah. The only moderately good swap would have been for Excadrill, and Excadrill didn't want to get a close combat next. Wait, what the heck? Sirfetch'd gets Glassy Glide? That's something I've never seen before. Wow. All right. Oh, okay, hang on. I have to go. Let's go to the grass type description. Does anyone else get Grassy Glide? I guess it was a tutor move, wasn't it? It wasn't... Because I think it's a tutor move, like in one of the expansions. Grassy Glide. Okay, actually, yeah, a lot of Pokemon get it. I guess you don't see it a lot because you kind of want it to be there on terrain, and there aren't a lot of grassy terrain setters. I think Rillaboom might be the only one. Well, the line Rillaboom, Grookey, Thwackey, yeah. So that's why you don't see Grassy Glide anywhere else, although it does get quite a lot of coverage. So that was an amazing team build choice on GMF's part. And actually works really well for Terran's Sand team. Because I noted the first time that, he didn't bring many of his ground types. But Grassy Glide works really well on ground types. Good lord, that was surprising. All right, let's go back. Now, interesting choices of leads this time. So we know Sandslash wasn't GMF's choice Stealth Rock setter. Terran might have been expecting Stealth Rocks, but it doesn't really matter because he was going to do his own Stealth Rock. And in that sense, GMF sending out Vaporeon off the bat was a pretty good choice as a threat to the anticipated Hippowdon coming out first. And again, actually, if you were anticipating Hippowdon coming out first, you could have also sent out Rillaboom to start with, if we're being honest. And I wouldn't have been... Okay, so and actually I would say I would have been scared of a Scald. If Vaporeon came in with Scald, this swap makes complete sense. I mentioned earlier in the first watch through, don't be scared of an Aqua Tail. Hippowdon's physically defensive. Well, Vaporeon knows Scald. So this was definitely a very good swap on Terran's part. Now, Vaporeon's probably anticipating an electric attack of some sort, which is why Sandslash comes out. But Terran gets the opportunity to set up the free sub and gets a Glare off. And actually, that's really interesting. Actually, that's not so interesting, because I bet that Sandslash has, Sand Rush. So this is GMF taking advantage of Terran's weather, which is probably something he anticipated ahead of the first battle and didn't get, and now he's able to take advantage of it. So that's actually, again, a second really good team-building choice on GMF's part. Sandslash taking advantage of the sand, and Sirfetch'd getting Grassy Glide to help from Rillaboom. That's just... nice choices, really tailoring your team to your opponents. I might have opted to send out a Moongus there to do a bit more of a threat on Sandslash, but getting into no damage is nice. And unfortunately for GMF, he's got some paralysis problems there. Power Up Punch is nice. I would have maybe used Rapid Spin right there. Because you could have used Drain Punch next time, but I guess Rapid Spin doesn't matter if Grassy Glide comes out. But you would have forced GMF to make the choice between Wood Hammer or Grassy Glide if you knew that a Drain Punch or an Ice Punch was coming. So yeah, if Hitmonchan was still carrying Rapid Spin like we saw in the last battle, I would have done that before doing Drain Punch. Because Earthquake... Now... just with the damage rolls, Earthquake did have a potential chance of killing Hitmonchan. But I would have gotten the Rapid Spin off to, again, speed up to get the better setup going. Then you could have used Drain Punch on Sandslash, and you would have been at higher health, and Rillaboom wouldn't have been nearly as good of a choice. So, alright, U-turn coming through, Como-O. Resist the knockoff, so that's a pretty good thing. Now, we've seen that we know, it's faster. So the taunt was probably there to try to prevent Stealth Rock or Toxic, but one of them was coming anyway because we know Mandibuzz is slow. And again, here, I would have gone with Brave Bird maybe. Now, well, I mean, that worked out well. I guess if we do recall Como-O being physically defensive, Brave Bird wouldn't have done as much as I would have liked it to. And Mandibuzz, 78%, it probably would have done well enough tanking a body press. But I might have gotten it low, especially being Toxic. Yeah, that's a good move. So we've got Hippowdon coming in, doing its own rocks, and phasing before the taunt wore off, so he couldn't get the rocks back up on the other side. Now it would have been nice to have maybe gotten an Earthquake off on Chandelure, but if you see the Chandelure swap coming in, you have to expect that, especially a special attacker versus something with not much special defense, gotta expect at least something is coming. I would not have been surprised if a Shadow Ball made the kill there. But GMF did one better and had Energy Ball. And there, another non-grass type that has a grass type attack to threaten a heavily ground and rock team. Good choice on GMF's part. But yeah, I would have absolutely done a swap there if I was Terran. Whatever you might have been anticipating. Even Flamethrower might have even gotten the kill off there. Well, maybe not Flame. Well, yeah, I don't know. Depending on what set the Chandelure was running. That's the important thing here. But I think that Hippowdon was very likely in trouble, no matter what Chandelure did. So I would have swapped maybe. But then there isn't a good swap. Maybe Mandibuzz, especially if you're anticipating Shadow Ball. But yeah, I'm still. Because if Mandibuzz would not have liked Flamethrower, I think we saw that in the previous match, doing somewhere around half health. And you don't necessarily want to lose. I'm not sure if Terran wanted to keep Mandibuzz more or keep Hippowdon more. Considering Mandibuzz is already toxic, I would have erred on the side of keeping Hippowdon more. Now, of course, that flying type, good for Kommo-o, Chandelure, and Rillaboom. And Dark type, good for not Chandelure, Kommo-o, Sirfetch'd, and Rillaboom. Dark type, good for Chandelure. But you've got other options, especially if this Excadrill has Sandrush. Don't worry about Chandelure. And for the other three, your Amoonguss is going to do great against any of them except Sirfetch'd Bravebird, which we did see later on in this match. Yeah, at this point, do the swap because you don't want the Body Press coming in. You don't want it coming into Excadrill because that Steel type is not going to like it. Spore would have been a good choice, I guess, but Kommo-o isn't the offensive threat that some of the other Pokemon are. Like we've seen, it has Toxic, Stealth Rock, Body Press, and Earthquake. Amoonguss isn't worried about Body Press or Earthquake, and in fact, not many of the others are. Of course, Earthquake gonna hurt on these two, and Body Press will as well. But as long as Kommo-o is staying out, I wouldn't necessarily view it as a threat. Or as long as Amoonguss is staying out, Kommo-o is not a threat. I think he's Toxic next. Yes, I would have just done that right off the bat, and you wouldn't have wasted a turn. Not again, Kommo-o is not doing much to Amoonguss, so wasting a turn isn't that bad of a problem here. And again, I think I mentioned during the first watch show, somewhere around here would have been a good time to swap into Mandibuzz and get a Roost off. And actually, a slow Roost here helps. Because the Fighting and Ground types will hit before Mandibuzz loses Flying type. But anyway. I would have again done that swap a little bit earlier. Your Amoonguss would have been a little bit more health. And again, I'm surprised not using Bravebird there, but considering we already had him favor Mandibuzz over Hippowdon, I'm guessing he really wants Mandibuzz alive. Which at this point, again, I would have said probably not. It's okay to sack. Focus on what you have otherwise. But we've got good stuff going here. I bet he was really hoping for the kill there. But he doesn't have he's got leftovers instead of dry skin. And leftovers make sense for a substitute set, so that works as well. But having a little bit of extra power plus Parabolic Charge would have helped to get the Rillaboom out of the way. And here's the surprise, or not that. Let's see. So you might have known First Impression was coming. I would have swapped into Excadrill, honestly. Because obviously Mandibuzz, you could have just sacked Mandibuzz at that point. Terran doesn't seem to have wanted to do that. Amoonguss might not have liked it. Excadrill would have tanked it. You would have had to worry about the next turn because you probably would have had a close combat coming in, but then you could have gotten Amoonguss out. But yeah, then of course Sirfetch'd. Sirfetch'd is faster than a lot of what's here, unfortunately. And that, pulling off a surprise. Now, I wouldn't have necessarily used Earthquake there either. Earthquake is half power under grassy terrain. It depends on what else Excadrill has, because I think, if I recall correctly, hang on a moment, let's see, Steel. Yeah, so Steel hits fighting types neutrally. I would have used Iron Head if he had it. Because Earthquake, again, is weak under grassy terrain. And that sets... Wow, okay. So that's you know what? I bet he was depending on Sandrush to get Excadrill's speed up and putting attack strength into other stuff. And that's something that's okay to do. But usually if you want one of your Pokemon to be a fast attacker, even if you have weather to support it, it's a good idea to put the speed investment in. Like when I run, Venusaur, a Chlorophyll Venusaur on sunny day teams, it's still a good idea to put some speed investment in that Venusaur. You can try to make it tanky. The problem is if you're depending on a Pokemon going first, and that needs weather, if you don't have the weather, then you kind of screw yourself over. So again, like with the example of Venusaur, if you're actually making it tanky, then sure, you don't necessarily have to invest the speed in. But if you're trying to make that Venusaur an offensive Venusaur under Sun, you want to make sure you have the speed investment for even if the Sun isn't up. Because otherwise your Venusaur now no longer has the tank investment and it's a sitting duck if the Sun is out. It is not there. Same thing we just saw happen here with the Excadrill. Because Excadrill on its own supposed to be a good, 20% faster than a Vaporeon is. But Terran was banking on the sand. Now, again, we already saw a lot of surprises coming in. I'm not sure Terran could have brought that out, even if it was faster than the Vaporeon. But that's just kind of a side comment there. And again, with the rocks up, that Mandibuzz was already going out. So again, why he was saving Mandibuzz, I'm not entirely sure. I guess it didn't have Brave Bird actually now looking at it. But I wouldn't have used U-Turn. If you knew... Using U-Turn when you know it's not going to survive coming out again, not the best move. I would have just gone with Knockoff in that case. But that's that. A nice split decision here in this battle between Terran 23 and GMF 2455. I'll have one more battle for you guys to look at coming up tomorrow. I hope you enjoy, and I will see you all later. Bye.